So as you guys can see from the environment we're in the shop, RCH Studios, Rios, Clementi, Hale, is really built on a culture of making. Historically, it's a 30-plus-year-old practice, and they've concentrated on prototyping, trial and error, a culture of curiosity. Can you guys talk about this idea of making and how you keep it present in your process? Are we in a kind of treasured place and moment?
I don't want to underestimate the role of like Hollywood, I guess, in my life, even though like it's a different side of town, and I don't think we use a lot of that stuff. But I think the whole idea, I get inspired by just like the creativity of just that whole. I mean, this is like this largest manufacturing center, but it's also like the largest like movie hit making music. Like, I mean, all the arts that surround that stuff, I think, really permeate Los Angeles in a way that I know. I feel like I have vendors who are like, at the top of the industry because of, like aerospace, but also the top of the industry because of Hollywood, because they have to be able to turn around a piece of plastic for a movie shoot, in 2 days, because otherwise it's not going to look right on and the budgets are endless. So there's like a slight, maybe not subsidy from the industry, but it definitely helps open up the possibility of making in a different way, just because the realms of between aerospace on one end and Hollywood on the other end, it kind of gets a lot of craft in between that stuff. It's very unique about LA.
I think we've found that when we go to the aerospace types of companies, that they find us to be too small to work with. And the sort of downside to that is they're like, who are you and how many units would you need in 2 weeks? And we found it to be easier to work with the sort of smaller companies just like us. So the mom and pop shops, the ones who have families that we can help support, which is sort of where we've gone in terms of partnering with certain companies. It's interesting because I feel like when I go to certain events and I talk to other industrial designers about where they're making their product, it's like, yeah, that guy never got back to us, and we even stopped in. And so for us, what we found is sort of that sweet spot is, again, another smaller company just like ourselves who understand that we might need to call them at, Saturday night at 9 o'clock, and they're going to take our phone call because they want to produce lovely things with us. So the nice thing is you have sort of that range here in Los Angeles, and I do find that a lot of those smaller companies aren't going to have a website, and they're, we started in our Google searches and found a lot of the more aerospace businesses to help us, and then we ended up sort of by word of mouth getting into those smaller niches, which is awesome. But also, we're kind of like once they die out, like how does that work? All of our vendors are very small family-owned businesses.
We've been struggling. We've been trying to make new stuff. Like, we have new ideas. We want to get new stuff made, and just approaching new factories with different capabilities than our other manufacturers. They're just. It seems like they don't even want the business. And my dad runs a company, and they do manufacture overseas. And he says, Eric, just come over. They're eager. They will build anything you want. Like, they will start a new wing of a factory to just start building chairs for you. And we've talked to people, and they're just like, oh, we don't want your business, and like whatever. I'm like, okay, but this chair that we designed, we've sold thousands of. So there's a possibility that if you we could do that with you. We don't know, but like, could you go through the process of prototyping, developing, and it's just those not getting back to us, and all these things showing up in person, and they're just like, oh, it's just too small a business. Or and then we've found other industries. We've been doing some exciting stuff with new HDPE. It's a recyclable plastic, and it's like super durable outdoor, and they use it for like kids' playground equipment. So we're like, oh, this is a really cool material. It's like great for outdoors. So we've been doing a lot of experimentation with that. But even prototyping, they're hitting us with these like small order fees. They're like, it's not like a full pallet. Like, that's an extra $100. And we're like, the material itself is $150. So that just it's like all of these compounding effects of running a really small business. So, because we're, when you think about mass production, there are certain things that for us are mass. Like, we make 2,000 of this thing a year, but that's nowhere near mass production. So while you can make everything here, there's so many different toggles as far as price point. And our stuff is, compared to these guys is the affordable. We're the affordable one in the group. You know, our stuff is ridiculously simple, and you know, we try to make it as inexpensive as possible, and that's just kind of, that's our vision as a company. And you know, so we're in a different zone. Our margins are, you know, maybe tighter or whatever. Like, I'm embarrassed that I have a $1,500 chair, where these guys can't sell a chair that's only $1,500. Maybe, you know, it's like there's all, well, yeah, I'm being generalist, but you know, there's all of these little market pockets, and so operating in that zone has been a challenge for us. And with these new chairs, which you can see next week at the Los Angeles Design Festival, you know, I was like, I want these outdoor lounge chairs to retail for $500, and just our costs on it, I was like, no, we're looking at $900, unless we produce 1,000 at a time or something. So, you know, playing with all of that to make something that's ridiculously simple is still really hard to do without the aid of full mass production.